Hello, everybody. Once again, this is my third. This is my third official video, and I wanted to talk about another thing that I like, which is Slipknot. And if you don't know what Slipknot is, it's a heavy metal band that originated in Iowa, specifically Des Moines. And I wanted to animate, or at least tell you about the history, because I feel like there's not enough animating in this, but I'm here for educational purposes, and Slipknot has a lot of haters, so any Slipknot haters out there, I come in peace, please don't hurt me. Okay, so Slipknot started in 1995 when three guys, Sean Cran, Paul Gray, and Joey Jordison, decided to make a band. And the band was not called Slipknot, it was called the Pale Ones. Slipknot was a name that came after the Pale Ones. They have a lot of members, so I'm just going to go through them really quickly. Sean Cran was the percussionist and Joey Jordison was the drummer. The difference between the two? Percussionists have quad drums while the drummer has an actual full drum set. Paul Gray was the bassist and Donnie Steele and Josh Brainerd were both guitarists. And yeah, they have two guitarists. One's the lead guitarist and the other one is just a guitarist. They also had a second percussionist named Cuddles, which was his nickname, but his real name is Greg Weltz. Then there was Brandon Darner, who I don't know what instrument he played. I can barely find any information about him. And Anders Kolsefny, their singer. The band was known for wearing masks, and that's because Sean Cran, the percussionist, actually walked into the studio one day with a clown mask that he found in his house. The band was not pleased with Sean wearing this clown mask every single day, and they thought it was silly and improper to go out there and perform with a clown mask on. They tried to force him out of the clown mask, but failed. So, since he was resisting so badly, the band actually got fed up and got their own masks, so they could wear them along with Sean. Anders Kolsefny, the singer, didn't really wear a mask. He just kind of wrapped electrical tape around his head. And Cuddles, the other percussionist, actually got a baby mask, which I gotta say, it's really creepy. It's like a Boss Baby horror movie. Joey Jordison wore a blank kabuki mask, and Paul Gray was known for his pig mask. Brandon Darner actually wore this Pinocchio-like mask, but then it was carried on to Donnie Steele for his mask. Josh Brainerd wore this, and as I said earlier, Sean Cran has the clown mask. They became popular pretty quick because of their aggressive performances, which metal fans at the time just ate up. Then Joey Jordison, the drummer, decided to change the name from the Pale Ones to Slipknot, after a song that they made by the same name. So this naturally resulted in their first album, Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat, in 1996. Though after this year, Slipknot made a lot of changes. Then before the self-titled album in 1999, a lot of people left, leaving us with only Sean, Joey, and Paul. Anders Kolsefny was replaced by Corey Taylor, and the two guitarists Donnie and Josh were replaced by Jim Root and Mick Thompson. And finally, Chris Fehn came in to replace Cuddles as the percussionist. They had also gotten a keyboardist, Craig Jones, and a DJ, Sid Wilson, who replaced nobody as they were new. These 9 guys put their talents together to make the first ever Slipknot song, which was called Sick, which was pretty popular for their first song. Some other songs that were pretty big was Spit It Out, Wait and Bleed, and Eyeless. Alright, now I'm going to explain their masks. Corey Taylor made his mask out of a literal face of a crash test dummy and put holes in the top of the mask so he could thread his dreadlocks through. Mick Thompson had a generic hockey mask that was this sickly green color, but then he switched it over to whatever this is. I have no idea what it is, but I like it. And we can see some Jason Voorhees inspiration here. Jim Root used to wear Josh Brainerd's mask, but he hated it, he threw it away, and he got a jester mask, which it looks very cool. Craig Jones, the new guy, actually had a astronaut helmet that he attached nails to, and it looked very nice. It was one of the cooler ones of this era. Sid Wilson, the other new guy, just had a generic gas mask. And finally, Chris Fehn actually took Donnie Steele's Pinocchio mask and then converted it into something that looked a lot nicer. Alright, that was everything to note from this era. So, let's move on to our next era, Iowa. Iowa was their heaviest album to date. Even with 8 albums out so far, Iowa has remained their heaviest. There is a very dark story behind one of the songs of this album, 515. 515 is named after the area code of Iowa, where most of the Slipknot members are from. So Sid Wilson, the DJ, or turntablist if you're a nerd, actually had a grandfather that was dying. And he wanted to finish up all of his parts for the new song and then fly out to see his grandfather before he died. Sid Wilson was happy as could be because he could actually see his grandfather before he passed, but unfortunately, he took too long recording his parts and got informed that his grandfather did die. He stormed into the studio clearly upset and told the recorder to start recording. He then put his mouth in front of the microphone and started screaming and crying the word death over and over. He was just letting out all of his emotions, but didn't actually expect for it to become a song that was the very introduction to the new album. Other than 515, Iowa was pretty successful with hits like Left Behind, Disaster Piece, and People Equals, which are all amazing songs. Alright, Iowa mask time. Corey's mask was pretty much the same. I think it was the same model and everything, but the only thing is that he actually cut off his dreadlocks and glued them to the mask. And he did put some sort of infinity sign or an 8 on it. At one point, even an upside-down cross. I'm not going to talk about Mick's because it's the same as self-titled, and Jim's is pretty much the same. He just made some slight tweaks to the mask. Sean got a new mask that was still keeping his clown aesthetic, and he carved a pentagram into it. I have to remind people that are watching this. Slipknot isn't satanic, so the upside-down cross and the pentagram literally doesn't mean anything. It's just the fact that these guys were trying to be edgy. It was the early 2000s. What do you think? And Sean is practically just an edgy teenager in a 60-year-old's body, okay? Craig Jones absolutely pulled it off with this mask, as this is my favorite mask of this entire era. It is so clean, and it's so smooth, and I feel like once the nails started rusting, it looked so much cooler, even though it was probably a huge health hazard. Sid had turned his gas mask into a skull gas mask. That's pretty much all I can say. It's just a skull gas mask now. Finally, Chris and Joey's just practically stayed the same, even though there were just a couple of tweaks, like Joey adding paint and Chris's mask becoming a slightly different shade of color. Alright, we're on to our next era now, which is Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. Volume 3 is the first Slipknot album to get a Grammy, that's a pretty big deal, don't you think? The best song definitely in this album is Duality, because it was a huge success being their third most popular song. But there were other good ones too, like Scream, Before I Forget, and The Damaged One, all amazing songs. The Before I Forget music video actually features Slipknot without their masks on, just kind of glimpses of parts of their faces. And do you know how much of a big deal this was? Fans of this band had no idea what their faces looked like, and some of them even thought that they had no faces at all. But no, they had faces. They had faces all right, like a normal human. Corey's mask looked a lot like a burn victim, while Mick's mask has highly improved. He patched up the nose hole, which I think was kind of awkward. He turned the eyebrows inwards so he looks angry all the time, and he kind of slimmed out the bars in the front of the mouth. And it was such a good change, because the angriness of the design always looks like he wants to kill you at every moment, and it's amazing. Jim had completely ditched his old Jester for just a normal-looking face that had Jester makeup. It was kind of bland, but, it was nice, because it still kind of fit Slipknot's whole style. Sid Wilson just had this normal skull. Are you starting to see a pattern here? It went from gas mask, skull gas mask, to skull. I wonder what he's gonna pick next. Craig Jones has, I think, the same mold as last time. It does look a bit different. The mold does look a bit rounder, and the nails are so saggy. They are so floppy, and I think that might be a result of headbanging too hard. I did completely forget to tell you about Paul's Iowa mask, and I feel so stupid. Here it is. Not much to say about it. He just switched from the pig because a rival band got mad at him for it. So, here it is. Paul had some Hannibal Lecter inspiration from the grill on the mouth and put this cool design on the forehead, but it's definitely not the coolest thing he's ever done with the paint job. Joey's, again, was just the same model, but with a different paint job. Sean had the bandaged clown, and something cool about the design is that if you look closely at the nose, it's the same nose from the Iowa clown. I think he just reused it, and I don't think that he just put all of the new mask on top of the old Iowa mask. I'm honestly not sure. Then we have Chris, who definitely had the best mask change in this era because he changed it from a whitish green to a nice red or a crimson, and that makes him look like a tengu, which is a Japanese creature that is red and has a long nose. They look exactly alike. Coincidence? I think not. Now we go on to the worst album that Slipknot has ever made. We have All Hope Is Gone. Yay, I get to talk about this for another 4 minutes. Yippee. Okay, so All Hope Is Gone was generally boring except for 2 things that would impact Slipknot forever, and I'm gonna list those things later, but pretty much the only big hit in this album was Psychosocial, which is their most popular song by far, and I kind of think it's ironic that their most popular song came from the worst album ever. They had other ones like Sulfur and Dead Memories, but who cares because both of them are bad. I mean, Snuff and Psychosocial are the only remotely good ones of this album. Alright, mask time. Corey's is weird. Very weird. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, but I do like its emotionless, ghostly appearance. I think it looks very good. I think Joey was the one that had the best glow up, and that is the fact that he turned his kabuki mask into this sort of demonic Christ. And like I said, I can't stress this enough, they are not demonic. It's just what the mask is called. It even had a crown of thorns, stitches everywhere, blood coming out of orifices. It's way too cool for Slipknot. Remember how I said that Sid had a pattern from gas mask to skull, gas mask to skull? What do you think he will do here? Do you think he will do some sort of skull gas mask again? You'd be wrong. He did a robot. Just a robot. I'm not gonna waste my breath talking about Mick and Jim's because they're the same, but Chris had a very good paint job again. He decided to take his red mask, but then paint it greenish blue. Bleen. I like bleen. Paul had a new paint job done, and it is easily the best. I kind of like how it looks. He kind of looks like a Batman villain, honestly, with that paint job. This is where Craig's masks started to get a bit bad. This mask is a bit weird looking, and I don't like it. It looks like a bowling ball. Like, that mold doesn't fit Craig's head at all. Sean had this really unpleasant looking stitched up mask with this really ugly bulbous nose. And I really shouldn't roast this mask too hard because there is a really dark story behind it, just like 515. Sean had lost his mother and father during All Hope Is Gone, and he made a mask where he could not be touched, he could not be seen, he could not speak, just because of how crushed Sean was. He was not showing any skin whenever he was doing anything with the band. He was not showing any skin because, like I said, he did not want to be felt or seen. Even some of the band members thought that All Hope Was Gone was terrible. Jim Root says All Hope Is Gone was different. That was probably the most disconnected and separated I've felt doing a record. And Sean Cran says that was the only album done in Iowa and it's my least favorite. No tension, no pain, just efficiency. That's not good for what we do. Sadly, though, this is the final album with these original 9 members because Paul Gray sadly passed away in 2010 from a deadly overdose of morphine and fentanyl. He was only 36 years old. 3 years after Paul died, Joey Jordison decided that he was going to leave the band, as he was diagnosed with transverse myelitis, a condition where the cells in your spine swell up. That makes you paralyzed from wherever the myelitis is and down. Joey just could not play drums like he used to. Barely at all could he play drums. But he also left for another reason, and that was Paul's death. Paul was close friends with Joey Jordison. Actually, best friends with Joey. So you can imagine how sad he was when he died. And this moment forward is where Slipknot started to make their descent into not goodness. The reason that I say that is they lost two of the people that made the band. And that should be a sign where you should just stop. But did Corey stop? No. He made another album hiring two other people. And yeah, they're good, but it's never going to be the same without Paul or Joey. So this next album is called The Gray Chapter, or .5 if you're a nerd. This album barely has anything to offer except for Slipknot's second most famous song, The Devil and I. Other than that, that's kind of it. I mean, there was a tribute song to Paul Gray, named 19, which is definitely one of their better songs from this album. But I've got to say that's kind of it, so let's just get to the masks. Corey's mask was some weird, ugly goblin thing, and Sid is this now. I really have no idea what it is, but it comes with a detachable mouthpiece. Mick's mask is flawless. This is my favorite Mick mask ever. The rust looks awesome. However, Jim's mask is one of the worst. Why did he cut out the mouth to let his beard breathe? Like, he could have just shaved it because it doesn't look good. But, can't do anything about it now. This was 11 years ago. Chris's mask looks absolutely awesome. He went from white to greenish white to red to green to this chrome silver shiny, and it's amazing. Again, Craig's mask is just not very good. He still looks like a bowling ball with spikes coming out of it. Although I do like the touch of multiple size nails. That's a good addition. Then Sean's mask is bad. Alright, now we gotta talk about the new guys. Now, Joey was replaced with Jay Weinberg after he left, and after Paul died, he was replaced with Alessandro Venturella. I thought I was gonna run out of breath saying that name. And why did Corey hire these guys and not just end Slipknot? Because he wanted to save it, quote unquote, and he didn't save anything. The albums just kept getting worse from here on out. Jay and Alessandro actually got pre-made masks out of respect for the other members. They were made out of burlap and they almost looked the same. After a while, though, they were able to get creative and make their own. Shortly after the album ended, Chris was fired, and he claimed that the band was keeping money from him. And yeah, it was true. They were. They were not giving him fair pay. All the other guys were being so much more respected, while he was getting barely anything for the work that he did. And he even lost a lawsuit against Slipknot. And that just makes me really sad because he was the one in the right. So anyways, Chris got replaced with a literal tortilla named Michael before we head on into We Are Not Your Kind, the next album. This album cycle is really boring, and it pretty much only had like one hit, Unsainted, and I guess it's in the All Hope Is Gone club. Since nothing notable happens in this album cycle, we're just gonna head right on to the masks. Corey's mask looks awful. He looks like a chipmunk. Why are his cheeks so puffed up on the mask? It looks awful. Jay's mask is terrible because it's not Joey's. Sid's is not my favorite. He kind of just looks like he's wearing the skin of another person, and he kind of just looks like an old man now. He also wears robes quite frequently with this mask, so he kind of looks like Darth Sidious.
Why do I do YouTube?
Mick and Jim's are the same, and Michael is a tortilla. Yup. He's a tortilla, alright. Alessandro's mask is bad because it's not Paul's. Craig had the biggest glow down in all of history. His nails got shorter, he has a awful looking spike mohawk, and the whole mask is just not pleasant to look at all. It looks awful. Sean's mask is not my favorite because it kind of looks like, I don't know if I can say this without being too mean, but it kind of looks like Sharon Osbourne. Do you see the resemblance? Do you see it in the cheekbones? Yes? Good. This is not a part of Slipknot history, but I'm still going to mention it because he was at one point. Joey passed away in 2021 in his sleep. He was 46 years old. The reason was his transverse myelitis. And Corey and Sean was so disrespectful to him after he passed away. After he passed away, they realized that they could profit off of his death by selling his drum kit and not giving any of the money that they got to his family. And that is absolutely evil. This seems appropriate to add a quote that I made. Just because I like their music doesn't mean I like the people who make it. Alright, next album cycle. This is the final album cycle that has been made so far. It was made 2 years ago, and it's boring. Yup, pretty boring. It's called The End So Far. I really wish it was just called The End because they really need to stop. The only good song from this album cycle was the Dying song, and that song didn't even do too well. It's not even, amazing. It's not even great. It's just okay at best. The drumming is way too technical, the guitar riffs are basic, and Corey's singing has not been very good lately. I know that he's getting older. He's 51 years old as of speaking, but it's just not the same anymore. So, on to the masks, because there is nothing notable about this album cycle once again. Corey's mask is bad. It looks like a diseased dolphin or a possessed baseball or something. It just doesn't look good. It looks like a Muppet. That's what it looks like. It looks like a Muppet. I refuse to believe that any Alessandro or Jay mask is good because they're not Paul or Joe. His mask was pretty cool, though. There's not much to say about it, but I love it. Mick and Jay, here, come on. How about you get closer? What do you think I'm gonna say for Mick and Jim's? Yep, exactly. They stayed the exact same. Again. For, the fourth time. Probably even the fifth time. Michael's once again is a tortilla, and Craig's mask looks the worst it ever has. The nails got even shorter. Now it is not menacing at all. Sean's mask was good, though. I like how it was reflective. He kind of looked like a disco ball. My only problem with it is the puckered lips that he has. He kind of does look like a fish. And that's it. We've made it to the end. I do want to say that there is a new Slipknot album coming out this year, and please God save us, it is not going to be good. I have been hyping it up, but then as I've been making the dialogue for this video, as I've recorded my dialogue for this video, I've realized, oh no, the past 5 Slipknot albums have been terrible. I wonder how this one's going to turn out. So it might not even be good, and I'm getting hyped up for nothing. But, we'll see, because a trend can't last forever. Anyways, I think I'm done. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you if I make a 4th one.